Libra, dear soul, a spirit is trying to reach you. If you don't recognize the signs now, it may be too late. Your soul is being called. Welcome to Zodiac Whisper Tarot, where we don't just read cards, we deliver messages from across dimensions. If this video has found its way to you, then listen closely. This moment has been orchestrated for you not by luck, but by divine timing. This is not just a horoscope reading. It is a message from the other side, and the veil between worlds is thinner than ever. Have you been waking up between 3 and 5 a.m.? Have you felt a sudden chill, or sensed a familiar presence when you thought you were alone? Perhaps you've dreamt of someone who passed long ago. If so, you're already being contacted. And this video? It's your confirmation. Libra, someone who once loved you deeply, a mother, grandmother, soulmate, or ancestral guardian has not left you. In fact, they've been trying to get through to you. They've been working beyond this realm to deliver a message, a spiritual key that could unlock a new path in your finances, your relationships, or your soul's evolution. But there's a warning. There's a sacred window of time, and it's closing fast. If you don't act within the next few days, you may not receive this message again for decades. In this cycle, there are no reruns, only alignments. This video will take you into that message. We'll read the energy in your chart, draw on the archetypes in the tarot, and translate what your spirit guides have been whispering, perhaps for months, waiting for you to pause and finally listen. This is the invitation to stop, to breathe, to remember that you are not alone, that you are being guided, and that you are never without help, even when you feel unseen. And as we begin, I want to take a moment to thank you deeply and sincerely for being here. Every like, every comment, every new subscriber is not just an algorithm tick, it's an energetic agreement. It's your way of saying, I am ready. Your support breathes life into this channel, and it's the reason why messages like this can continue to find those who truly need them. So Libra, tell me in the comments right now, what sign brought you here? Was it a number, a dream, a moment you couldn't explain? Write it below to confirm your connection. Declare it, I accept the message, or I am open to divine guidance. The act of naming it aligns you more deeply to the vibration calling you right now. Stay with me until the end of this reading, because what's being revealed is beyond anything I've ever seen in your chart before. The timing is cosmic. The energy is undeniable. And if you're brave enough to receive it, everything could change. Are you ready? Let's begin. It often begins as a whisper, subtle, delicate, almost ignorable. A passing thought of someone no longer with you. A scent that doesn't belong. A melody that appears in your mind with no logical reason. But what if those moments weren't just memories resurfacing? What if they were signals? For Libra, you are entering a karmic phase of extraordinary sensitivity. In astrology, we understand Saturn as the great teacher, the lord of time and structure, and right now, it's inching ever closer to a karmic point in your natal blueprint. What does that mean for you? It means there is a window, a rare one, through which life-altering insight can reach you. Not from a book or a conversation, but from something deeper, older, and infinitely wiser. You may feel a nudge in your spirit as you hear this. Someone from your past, someone whose love for you still echoes beyond the veil of this world, is trying to offer you something. Not fear, not confusion, only clarity. Only peace. For some of you, this is a grandmother figure who never stopped praying for your safety. For others, it may be a soulmate who had to leave before their time, but never left the connection behind. These figures do not linger to haunt, they remain to guide. Their role is not to disrupt your journey but to gently redirect it toward alignment. And what they offer now is not merely symbolic. For many Libras, this key being handed to you comes in the form of tangible opportunity, a sudden job offer, an unexpected inheritance, or a breakthrough in clarity around your financial path. For others, it's emotional understanding a pattern in your lineage that held you back, a secret about your family that explains why you've always felt different. The knowledge isn't random. It arrives when you are ready. And Libra, it seems, you are ready now. But time is of the essence. In the language of universal cycles, this is not an open-ended invitation. You are standing at the intersection of choice and chance. Astrologically, Saturn won't bring this exact opportunity again for another full cycle, approximately 21 years. That's why these next 72 hours are so sacred. What you do with them, how you listen, reflect, and open your awareness, could redefine everything. And here is where I want to offer you something more grounded. We don't always need to understand the mechanisms of how grace moves through our lives. Sometimes, it's about surrendering to the timing of things, trusting that what's been hidden will reveal itself at the perfect moment. Just as in daily devotion, when someone reads a single line of scripture and suddenly it feels like God Himself is speaking to their situation, this moment in your life carries that same divine weight. You didn't force it. You didn't create it. But you can choose to receive it. Many people go through life ignoring those signs, too busy, too skeptical, too afraid to hope. But what if, just this once, you chose to believe that what's coming is real? Not because you're desperate, but because something within you is awakening. Because maybe your inner compass is finally pointing north again. And because you don't need to understand the entire map to take the next right step. So, Libra, allow yourself to feel it. Reflect on the people who shaped you, who loved you, who left too soon. Who might be trying to reach you now, not to relive the past, but to guide you forward. Ask yourself gently, if they could speak to me right now, what would they want me to know? Let that answer rise softly in your heart. And know that it's time to listen. Sometimes, the signals don't show up as lightning bolts or loud awakenings, they arrive as quiet patterns that repeat just enough for your soul to recognize them. Libra, if you've been waking between 3 and 5 a.m., not once but several times recently, it's not random. This specific time frame, known across ancient traditions and modern consciousness science alike, is when your mind is most still, and your internal frequency aligns with subtler realms of knowing. It's a threshold hour, and when you keep finding yourself awake in it, life is trying to whisper something directly to you. But it's not always just about sleep. Maybe you felt a sudden chill in a room that's still. Maybe you've dreamed of flowing water, a quiet kitchen from childhood, or found yourself standing barefoot in a garden you've never visited in waking life. Maybe you've seen flashes of the color blue or met someone recently who felt eerily familiar and they happened to be wearing blue. You may not think these mean anything. But under the lens of energy patterns, timing, and archetypes, they mean everything. In the tarot, when the High Priestess appears beside Judgment, we're not just talking about symbolic guidance, or talking about a moment when your higher self is calling for you to trust what you feel before you have proof. These cards signal that something deep within you already knows what needs to be done. There's no need to go searching outside for confirmation. The world around you has already begun delivering it. And then there's this: a messenger is coming. Someone marked by the energy of the letter F, or perhaps in their name, in a street, or a symbol associated with them. They are not aware that they are the catalyst. That's not their role. But they'll say something, perhaps a passing comment, a phrase that catches you off guard, or even a repeated line in a dream, and suddenly, everything inside you will shift. You'll recognize it. And you'll know. This is why I gently encourage you, starting today, to begin a small practice of recording your inner landscape. Keep a notebook beside your bed. Write down your dreams, your emotions upon waking, or even just words or images that flashed through your mind. Your subconscious is incredibly rich right now. And when the patterns begin to emerge, they'll tell you more than any prediction ever could. In numerology, the number 3 relates to creation and divine communication. The number 21, on the other hand, represents the end of a karmic chapter and the preparation for spiritual maturity. If you're noticing these numbers around you, license plates, timestamps, even likes or views, don't brush them off. They're anchors, trying to guide your attention inward. And if this is showing up for you now, it means you're not only open to this transformation, you're ready to activate it. Some may call this coincidence. But in a world where miracles often wear the disguise of ordinary events, what if this is how divine order works? What if the messages you need come not in the grand, but in the gentle? There's a reason the most profound revelations often arrive while someone is folding laundry, stuck in traffic, or washing their hands. It's in the stillness between the noise that your truth comes forward. Think of it this way: in moments of silence, God doesn't shout, He speaks. And those who are willing to be quiet enough to hear are often the ones who receive the clearest answers. It doesn't matter what your belief system is. What matters is that you're listening. So I ask you now, Libra, have you been waking at those hours lately? Have you felt the inner nudge? If so, write in the comments, I've heard the call. That simple act of claiming it out loud can open a powerful internal portal. Not because you're waiting on a miracle, but because, deep down, you already know it's beginning. Not everything that changes your life will come wrapped in the form you imagined. Libra, you've likely turned away from something in the pattern offer, a connection, a project, simply because it didn't match the vision you had in mind. But what if that moment was never a rejection, but a redirection? Sometimes, the most life-altering opportunities arrive looking like ordinary distractions. Sometimes, the miracle doesn't glow until you say yes. What's unfolding for you now isn't just about money, or success in the traditional sense. It's about purpose. It's about alignment. The energy surrounding you is inviting you into a role you were born to play, but one you may have resisted out of fear, doubt, or habit. This isn't a random phase. It's a divine repositioning. A transition out of the roles you've outgrown and into the ones that have been waiting for you to claim them. The old you, the version that compromised your light to fit expectations, is gently being retired. When we talk about manifestation and the law of attraction, people often expect to attract only what they desire. But here's what isn't said enough: the universe rarely delivers what you want in the packaging you expect. It delivers what you need, when you're ready. And readiness doesn't always feel comfortable. Sometimes it shows up in the form of letting go of what wants to find you. sometimes it looks like surrender. There's a strange beauty in the space between endings and beginnings. It's uncomfortable, uncertain, and yet absolutely necessary. You're not losing your path, you're stepping into the path that's finally aligned with your higher frequency. And in that shift, it's natural to feel disoriented or even reluctant. That's okay. Transformation rarely feels safe in the moment. But it always brings us closer to our truth. This is also a time to look at your habits: financial, physical, and emotional. Have you been spending in ways that reflect your old self? Are you managing your resources from a place of fear or freedom? Now is the time to restructure. Create a fresh financial vision. Shift your mindset from lack to stewardship. Consider what you no longer need, not just in your budget, but in your relationships. Are there obligations, routines, or even connections you've held onto out of guilt or comfort but not love? As you do this internal inventory, don't forget the body. Our physical health is often the first to absorb the weight of emotional stagnation. If there's a wellness habit you abandoned 6 months ago, a practice that once made you feel strong and centered, this is the perfect moment to return to it. Whether it's yoga, morning walks, journaling, or just 10 quiet minutes with your breath, reintroduce something that roots you. Growth doesn't always require grand gestures. Sometimes, it begins with simply drinking more water and saying no to what depletes you. Or because they stopped waiting for certainty and took action anyway. Sometimes, faith isn't knowing how the whole story ends, it's choosing to turn the page when everything in you wants to stay in the familiar chapter. Libra, I gently ask, what are you still holding on to that no longer belongs to you? If your soul whispered, it's time to let go, would you listen? If so, affirm it right now by writing in the comments, I'm ready to release. Let that statement mark the beginning of a new version of you. One that doesn't shrink to fit, but rises to lead. What most people don't realize is that timing, true cosmic timing, isn't always gentle. It doesn't wait for you to be fully ready. It doesn't ask whether you're afraid. It simply opens a door, gives you a glimpse, and waits in silence to see if you'll step through. Libra, you are standing in front of such a doorway now. And the universe, through the wisdom of Saturn, is offering you both a challenge and a promise. Astrologically, Saturn is not just a planet of boundaries and hard lessons, it is the keeper of divine order. For Libra, a sign often pulled between dualities, this current alignment is not about punishment but about responsibility. Saturn brings what we've earned. Not in the sense of reward or punishment, but in the sense of mirrors reflecting back exactly where we are in our journey and what we've committed to. And when Saturn offers a karmic cycle like this one, it means the decisions you make now will shape not just the next few months but possibly the next 21 years. Right now, you're in the middle of what I call a sacred countdown. 21 days. That's how long the portal remains open. Not in a magical or fantasy sense, but in the very real energetic alignment of your soul with your purpose. When Saturn reaches this point in the sky for you, it invites you to activate a new rhythm of responsibility, not the kind that weighs you down, but the kind that finally sets you free. But here's the truth: if you ignore the nudge, if you let fear decide for you, if you brush off the repeating dreams, the whispers of intuition, or the perfectly timed phrase from a stranger, the door will still close. And when it does, the opportunity may not return for a very long time. In the cycle of Saturn, that delay can stretch for decades. And it's not because you did something wrong, it's because energy always moves forward, and so must you. I've seen this play out in people's lives in the most extraordinary ways. A woman I once worked with ignored a persistent inner calling for change, brushing it off as imagination. She waited until her life forced her to shift, but by then, the opportunities that once came with ease required a mountain of effort. Eventually, she got there, but she often wondered what life would have looked like if she'd just trusted that first whisper. These moments are real, and they're sacred not because they're dramatic but because they're rare. Sometimes, all it takes is a simple act of acknowledgement. Just like in faith, when you open your heart even a little, when you knock, when you seek, what you're looking for begins to move toward you too. It doesn't require grand declarations. It asks only for a small, quiet yes. In the context of Scripture, we're reminded to ask, to seek, to knock. Not because heaven is withholding, but because free will is always respected. The same is true in energetic alignment. Grace flows where willingness begins. So pay attention to what keeps repeating. That dream. That conversation. That strange coincidence that seems to follow you. These are not tricks of the mind. They are invitations. Gentle, persistent signals that it's time to answer. Right now, you're being called to act. Not just think. Not just feel. But to do something, however small, that signals your readiness. Maybe that's saying aloud the name of the ancestor or loved one you feel near. Maybe it's sharing this message with someone else who's walking this path too. Maybe it's simply writing in the comments, "I choose to believe." Because Libra, you truly are at a threshold. And the only question that matters now is, will you trust it? Or will you let the door close and wait another 30 years to try again? There comes a moment in every transformational journey when awareness is no longer enough, when realization must shift into movement. Libra, if you felt something stirring within you during this reading, then this is your moment to take grounded, conscious action. You don't have to do something grand or complicated. In fact, it's the smallest gestures, done with intention, that hold the most spiritual weight. You might begin simply by lighting a white candle. Not for ritual, but for clarity. Flame is one of the oldest symbols of awakening, of turning on the light within when the world around you feels uncertain. As it burns, let it represent your willingness to stay open even if you don't know what's coming next. Another beautiful step you can take is writing a letter. This letter doesn't need to be sent. It doesn't even need to be read by anyone else. Write it to someone you've lost, a loved one you feel might be watching over you. Tell them what you've carried since their passing, what you've always wanted to say, or simply what you're ready to release. This kind of emotional expression acts like spiritual decluttering. It clears space for new insight to arrive. If you've been experiencing vivid dreams or subtle impressions upon waking, now is the time to record them. Keep a notebook by your bed for the next 3 days. Don't worry if what you write seems disconnected or symbolic. Much like puzzle pieces, these fragments will begin to form a picture once your intuition feels safe enough to speak freely. One of the most powerful tools we often forget to use is stillness. A 5-minute moment of silence, eyes closed, hand on heart, breathing slowly, can allow your nervous system to reset and your inner voice to come forward. In that space, call on whatever higher presence feels real to you. Whether it's the memory of a grandmother's love, the comforting feeling of divine peace, or simply your own future self guiding you from the other side of growth, speak to it. Whisper its name. Ask for clarity. And then wait, not with anxiety, but with trust. I've witnessed so many miracles that began with something just like this. One woman once told me she watched a video just like this one late at night when she felt completely lost. She was hesitant to believe, but something nudged her to comment, to follow a prompt, to send the video to someone else. 10 days later, a former employer reached out to her unexpectedly, offering her the job she had once dreamed of but thought was no longer available. What had changed? Her openness. Her willingness to believe that even after a long silence, life still had more to say to her. There are signs you're being given even now. A message. A second chance. A conversation that seemed like coincidence, but felt oddly important. Perhaps it's already appeared once, and you looked past it. That's okay. Because in cycles of grace, things often come around again, this time with more clarity. This time, you'll be ready to receive it. To support this new vibration, surround yourself with colors and textures that calm and elevate your field. Soft blues to connect you to intuition. Pale gold to help you release karmic weight and trust in renewal. Use scents like frankincense or lavender if they speak to you. They hold grounding properties and create a sacred internal rhythm. And finally, if something within you knows it's time, don't hold it in. Declare it. Speak it into being. Write in the comments, "I'm ready to receive the message," or "I'm stepping into my mission." Not because those words are magic, but because the act of saying yes changes everything. When you choose to respond, you're no longer waiting. You're walking. And the universe walks with you. Libra, as we bring this moment to a gentle close, I want you to pause with me right here, right now, and feel the truth of what's rising in your spirit. You are not just a passive observer of fate. You are a co-creator of your own path, the living breath behind every shift, every breakthrough, every miracle you've been secretly praying for. The signs, the whispers, the moments of déjà vu have never been random. They've been reaching toward you. And today, you reached back. This message didn't find you by accident. You didn't just stumble onto this video. Whether it was the thumbnail that caught your eye, the title that pulled you in, or a quiet tug in your heart, you were meant to receive this. And now that you have, the next step is yours. Not a leap. Not a sprint. Just one simple step of intention. One act of courage. One choice to believe that change is possible, that healing is already unfolding, and that what you sense is real. You're not just waiting on a miracle, you are the miracle in motion. So what now? You could close this tab, forget this message, go back to the noise and routine of daily life. Or you could breathe with it for just a moment longer. You could allow the seed that was planted today to sink a little deeper. What if you actually followed through? What if you lit that candle tonight, wrote that letter, meditated just 5 minutes, or said yes to that opportunity you've been too afraid to name? What if you let go of the old story, the one where you're stuck, unseen, or not ready, and started living the version where you say, "Yes, I heard the call. And I'm answering." Because Libra, the truth is, you are not here to play small. You are not here to wait endlessly for signs without ever moving. You are here to rise. To remember who you are beneath the doubt, the delays, the expectations. You are here to walk the path that only you were born to walk. And no one, not time, not fear, not even the past can take that away from you once you decide to claim it. You have the power to shift everything, your energy, your habits, your direction starting today. Every small action becomes a prayer, every brave word a spell, every moment of faith a signal to the universe, I am ready. So let me ask you gently, but directly, will you choose to believe in your ability to change your life? Will you allow yourself to trust what's unfolding, even if it doesn't look like what you imagined? Will you take that next small step? If you felt this message resonate, if even a part of you is whispering, yes, this is for me, then I invite you to anchor that intention now. Drop a comment below that says, I hear it now, or I'm stepping into my power. Your words matter. Your voice has weight. Let the universe feel your presence. And if you found any light in this video, if something spoke to your soul, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share this message with another Libra who needs to hear it. Every share expands this circle. Every subscription strengthens our sacred community here at Zodiac Whisper Tarot. Your support is not only seen, it is felt. Thank you, deeply, for choosing to spend this time with me. Thank you for opening your heart and letting this energy move through you. And may the light that watches over you continue to guide you, protect you, and remind you no matter where you are on this journey, you are never, ever alone. Libra, the universe whispers to those who are willing to listen. So I'll ask one last time. Did you hear it? If you did, write it in the comments, I hear it now. And let your new chapter begin.